Chapter 1 Into the Wild. Daniel Brooks had always loved the quiet of the forest. After years of city life, he craved the solace of nature, a place where phones didn't ring and traffic didn't blare. So, on a chilly October morning, he packed his rucksack with essentials: a compass, a map, some food, water, and a tent. He was heading into the Black Pine Forest, a sprawling wilderness known for its dense trees and eerie silence. The first day passed peacefully. Daniel hiked deep into the woods, following marked trails before veering off to find solitude. He set up camp near a small stream, the sound of water trickling over rocks lulling him into a sense of security. But as dusk fell, a heavy fog rolled in, thicker than anything he had ever seen. It swallowed the trees, muffled sounds, and made even his campfire seem dim. That's when he heard it, a low hum vibrating through the ground beneath him. Chapter 2: The Vanishing Path. The next morning, Daniel woke to find the fog still lingering. He packed his things and tried to retrace his steps, but every path seemed unfamiliar. The compass needle spun aimlessly, and the map felt useless in his hands. Hours passed, and the realization dawned: he was lost. Panic gnawed at him, but he forced himself to stay calm. He rationed his water and food and tried to find higher ground to get his bearings. That's when he saw it. Deep in the woods, a strange glimmer, like metal reflecting sunlight. Curiosity outweighed fear, and Daniel moved toward the light. Chapter 3: The Encounter. As he approached the source, the air grew colder, the hum louder. Hidden in a clearing was something impossible. A metallic structure, half buried in the ground, pulsating with a soft blue glow. It wasn't a plane or a satellite. It was something else. Before Daniel could take another step, a beam of light erupted from the structure, enveloping him. His body felt weightless, his thoughts scattered. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. Then, the voice entered his mind. Chapter 4: A Silent Dialogue. The voice wasn't human. It echoed inside his skull, vibrating in ways words shouldn't. Daniel struggled to form thoughts, but somehow the being understood. Who are you? Travelers, observers. This world is fragile. Images flashed in Daniel's mind. Planets unlike Earth, cities floating in space, life forms that defied biology. He saw their purpose, not invaders, but seekers of knowledge. Yet, their presence here was dangerous. Something about the Earth's energy was incompatible with theirs. You are lost. We can guide you back, but you must not speak of this. Chapter 5: The Choice. Daniel grappled with the weight of what he had seen. He could go back, return to normal life, but how could he forget this? The aliens offered him a choice: return to his world with no memory of them, or leave everything behind and go with them. His heart raced. The idea of leaving Earth exploring the unknown was intoxicating. But there was fear, too. He was just an ordinary man. Could he handle the vastness of space? Chapter 6: Echoes of Earth. Daniel stood in the clearing, heart pounding, the choice looming before him. The alien voice, calm but resonant, lingered in his mind. Time felt irrelevant here, like the woods themselves had bent to the presence of something not of this world. He looked around at the dense trees, the fog still heavy, the hum from the structure now like a heartbeat under his feet. Daniel's voice echoed in his thoughts. If I go back, will I remember this? The alien voice responded. Only fragments, like dreams fading with dawn. The thought unsettled him. To forget this moment that shattered everything he thought he knew, felt like a betrayal to himself. But Earth was home. There were people waiting for him. A life, even if mundane, still tethered him to that world. Daniel's voice resolved, I want to go back. A soft pulse radiated from the structure. In an instant, Daniel felt warmth flood his body, the hum fading away. The fog lifted as if pulled back by invisible hands, revealing a clear path through the trees. But something inside him had changed. Chapter 7: The Return. Daniel stumbled back into the outskirts of civilization 2 days later. A search party found him, dirty, dehydrated, but alive. News reports called it a miracle. No one had expected to find him deep within Black Pine Forest after so long. Back home, things felt different. Ordinary noises, the hum of electricity, the distant roar of traffic seemed louder, almost invasive. At night, he dreamed of strange worlds, of cities suspended in nebulae, of voices echoing in empty voids, memories he shouldn't have had. Despite the aliens' promise, fragments remained. Chapter 8: Signals. Weeks passed, but Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that something was still watching him. Electronics in his house flickered at odd times. His radio caught static whispers that sounded like fragmented voices. One night, as he sat in his living room, his TV screen turned to static, then flickered into an image, a dense forest, eerily similar to black pine. And then, a symbol appeared, a circle intersected by 3 lines. Daniel felt a jolt of recognition. It was a mark he'd seen inside the alien structure, etched into the walls, glowing faintly. Was it a warning or a message? Chapter 9: The Others. Driven by a need to understand, Daniel sought out others who had similar experiences. He found online forums, secret groups discussing alien encounters, missing time, strange symbols. One user, going by the name Watcher42, posted photos of the exact same symbol Daniel had seen. They claimed they too had been in the Black Pine Forest, decades ago, and had encountered the same phenomenon. Daniel arranged a meeting. When they met in a small, dimly lit cafe, Watcher42 turned out to be an older man, worn but sharp-eyed. Watcher42 said, "You saw them, didn't you?" Daniel thought, "Who are they? What do they want?" Watcher42 replied, "They don't come here by accident. You've been marked now. You've been chosen." Chapter 10: The Fracture. Daniel's world unraveled quickly after that. More visions plagued him, flashes of alien landscapes, memories not his own. His body felt different too, stronger, faster reflexes, heightened senses. He wasn't alone. The old man had warned him that those who survived encounters with the aliens often became conduits, living bridges between Earth and something far older, something watching from the darkness between stars. Watcher42, the fracture is beginning, and you're the key. But what did that mean? Chapter 11: Awakening. The days blurred into each other. Daniel's senses sharpened. He could hear distant conversations, see details with inhuman clarity, and even feel the subtle hum of the earth beneath his feet. It wasn't just in his mind anymore. Something had awakened inside him. He could no longer ignore the growing pull toward the woods. Every night, his dreams brought him back to the Black Pine Forest. The structure, the voices, the choice he had made. And now, it felt like the forest was calling him again. The symbol haunted him. Drawn absent-mindedly on scraps of paper, on fogged mirrors, it became a fixation. He realized it wasn't just a symbol. It was a map, a star chart. The fracture had begun. Chapter 12: The Gathering. Daniel wasn't the only one. The old man, Watcher42, real name Leonard Hale, had told him that others had been marked. Hale had been tracking them for decades, following disappearances, strange sightings, and the people who returned changed. They met in an abandoned warehouse on the edge of town. There were 6 of them, men and women, each carrying the same haunted look, the same fragments of alien memories. Leonard Hale spoke first. "They chose us for a reason. We're the link between their world and ours. But something's gone wrong. The fracture wasn't supposed to happen." Daniel's voice trembled as he asked, "What happens if it does?" Leonard Hale's reply was grim. "Our world might not survive it." Chapter 13: Messages from the Sky. Strange events began to occur around the world. Reports of lights in the sky, strange power outages, and an increase in missing persons filled the news. Daniel could feel the shift in the air. Something was coming, something big. He started to receive direct messages, not just voices, but vivid images. Alien symbols floated in his vision, guiding him to places he'd never seen before. It was as if he were being pulled toward a convergence point. The group split up, each member following the signals they received. Their paths led them to places of ancient power. Megalithic structures, forgotten temples, deep caves, all seemingly connected to the fracture. Daniel's path led him back to Black Pine Forest. Chapter 14. The Rift. Returning to the forest felt inevitable. Daniel trekked deep into the woods, retracing his lost steps from that first day. But now, the fog that had once disoriented him felt like an old friend, guiding him instead of leading him astray. In the same clearing where he first encountered the structure, he found it again, but it had changed. No longer half-buried, it hovered above the ground, pulsing with energy. A shimmering rift floated above it, a tear in the fabric of reality. He wasn't alone. Figures stood in the clearing, some human, others not. Their features were fluid, shifting between forms. They were the travelers. Travelers, VO. The fracture is nearing completion. Daniel, VO. What happens when it's complete? Travelers, VO. Your world merges with ours. Life will not survive as it is. Chapter 15. The Choice Revisited.
Breaking news.
The travelers offered Daniel a chance to stop the fracture, but at a cost. He would have to sever the connection, destroying the rift and all knowledge of their existence. It meant sacrificing himself, becoming the living key to lock the gateway forever. But there was another path, a darker one. He could allow the worlds to merge, bringing humanity into a new age of evolution, but at the risk of annihilating the fragile balance of Earth. Daniel stood at the center of the clearing, torn between two impossible choices. The rift pulsed, growing larger with every second. Choose, Daniel. Your world's fate rests in your hands. Chapter 16. The Ties That Bind. Daniel stood at the edge of the rift, the energy pulsing around him like the heartbeat of another world. The weight of the choice pressed heavily on him, but it wasn't just his life hanging in the balance. It was everyone's. Images flashed through his mind. His family, friends, strangers on the street, all going about their lives, unaware of the cataclysm that loomed over them. But then came other visions. Cities beyond comprehension, civilizations thriving under alien skies, knowledge and evolution beyond human imagination. He remembered Leonard's words, "You've been marked, chosen." But not everything chosen is a gift. The travelers watched him, their forms flickering between humanoid and something formless. He could feel their collective thoughts, their desire to evolve humanity, but also their indifference to its survival. Daniel's voice echoed in his mind, "If I choose to close the rift, what happens to me?" The travelers responded, "You will cease to exist as you are. Your consciousness will become part of the barrier, a gatekeeper between worlds." Daniel questioned further, "And if I let the worlds merge?" The travelers answered, "You will ascend, become one of us." Daniel's heart pounded. Immortality or sacrifice, evolution or extinction. Chapter 17. The Catalyst. Leonard arrived at the clearing, breathless and armed with knowledge Daniel didn't have. He held an ancient artifact, a metallic shard etched with the same symbol Daniel had seen in the visions. Leonard Hale spoke urgently, "This is the catalyst. It can close the rift, but it needs someone bound to it. Someone like you." Daniel held the shard, feeling its immense energy course through him. It was like holding a piece of a star. Daniel's voice trembled. "I don't know if I can do this," Leonard Hale reassured him. "No one ever does, but you've been chosen for a reason." The rift pulsed violently now. The travelers grew restless, their forms flickering, pushing Daniel to make the decision. Chapter 18. The Final Decision. Daniel stepped toward the rift, the shard glowing in his hands. The power was overwhelming, but he focused on his humanity, the very thing that made the decision so painful. He thought of Earth, fragile and flawed, but beautiful in its imperfection. Yet, he also thought of what could be, an evolution beyond current understanding, a world where disease, war, and death might cease to exist. Choose. Time is ending. Daniel closed his eyes and made his choice. Chapter 19. The Aftermath.
Breaking news.
A blinding light engulfed the clearing. The rift pulsed one last time before collapsing in on itself, imploding with a deafening silence. The structure crumbled, the fog lifted, and the woods returned to their stillness. But Daniel was gone. Leonard stood alone, the artifact now a dull, lifeless stone in his hand. He felt a deep pang of sorrow, but also hope. Daniel had made the ultimate sacrifice. Yet, as Leonard turned to leave, he heard it. A faint hum, almost imperceptible. Looking up, he saw the faintest shimmer in the air, like the rift had never fully closed. Somewhere Daniel was still there. Chapter 20 Echoes in the Woods. Years passed. The story of Daniel Brooks faded into local legend. Another man lost in the black pine forest, never to return. But those who ventured deep into the woods spoke of strange lights, whispers in the fog, and the faint hum beneath their feet. And sometimes, if the fog was just right, you could hear a voice, soft and distant, calling out. A guardian, trapped between worlds, still watching, still waiting. The end.